We're putting a new fan clutch on Grunt today. Y'all stick around. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Clint. First thing I got to do is I got to apologize for the hum you hear in the background. It's only about 8 billion degrees outside and I got a fan running to help keep me cool. Alright, last year the radiator blew on Grunt. I redid the whole cooling system. I put a new radiator on it, new fan shroud, new water pump, new thermostat, new hoses, the whole 9 yards. The one thing I did not do is replace the fan clutch. I checked it out. We weren't having any issues with it. It seemed like it was in good shape, so we didn't replace it. A year later, that come back to bite me in the ass. So anytime you're doing anything, a job like this, especially with the cooling system, you're gonna have it all apart anyway. Go ahead and replace it all. That way you're not dicking around with the shit a year later like I am. Okay, so replacing a fan clutch really isn't that big of a deal. But don't get me wrong, it can be a serious pain in the ass. The main thing is the fan nut that actually screws onto your water pump. That's the problem. If you're gonna have any trouble, that's where it's gonna be at. But if you have the right tools, it does make the job a lot easier. This is the fan clutch kit that I have. I bought it last year when we were gonna do all that cooling system stuff to Grunt, and that was the only time I used it. This is an eBay or Amazon item, I can't remember which, but I will have a link to this kit in the description if you're interested in it. Comes with a universal fan clutch holder. It's got different size pins. These are the ones that I have in it now for this application. It's got other pins over here. It's got fan nut wrenches all the way from 22 millimeter to 40, 47, 50, and 36 millimeter, which this is the one we're using for this application. It's a pretty decent kit. I don't think it was all that expensive. I can't really remember, but having something like this will definitely make this job easier. All right, so looking down here, this is your belt pulley. You see your serpentine belt runs over this, and this actually bolts to the water pump. This is your fan nut. It's bolted to the water pump as well. These bolts right here, I think there's 4 or 5 of them that go around this belt pulley. They're 13 millimeter. You got to take 2 of them out to get the tool in there to work. Now I also want to say there's several different ways to do this. You can shade tree it and use pry bars to keep that water pump from turning so you can get that fan nut loose. But for this video, I'm going to show you how to use this tool that I have. So I'm using a long 13 millimeter box end wrench, ratcheting on this end. I'm going to take this little bolt out. Now, these are tight, but you should be able to hold that pulley with one hand and break these nuts loose. There we go. And take that bolt out. There we go. Now for this part, I've taken these pins that come with the kit and screwed them in here. And this can be kind of a pain in the butt to try to get this, because this adjusts like this, so you get the right width to get these pins in the holes where you just took those bolts out of. To get to this point, it's a pretty good idea to have everything you're going to need within arm's reach, because once you get this on there, it's pretty difficult to let it go, because most time it doesn't stay. 36-inch fan wrench and a 1/2-inch breaker bar. Well, that came loose pretty easy. Probably because I just did this last year. But most of the time, especially if it hasn't been touched in a long time, you're going to have some trouble getting that nut broke loose. Once it is broke loose, you can just turn your fan counterclockwise and that nut will unscrew from the water pump. Be careful when you get to the end. You don't want this fan to fall off and damage your radiator. Then just weave it out. I turned that fan off so you wouldn't have that blowing right in the microphone. All right, so once you have your fan and your fan clutch out, turn it over to the back side, and I marked this with a B, so I know that's the back of the fan, how I need to orient it when I put the new fan clutch on. Turn it over. There's supposed to be 4 bolts here. There's only 2, so I'm gonna have to try to find some bolts to put in here. But these are a 13 millimeter as well. Pull the fan off the old clutch. Your new clutch. Line it up. And put your bolts back in. Now I got to find 2 more bolts. Now this is an old shade tree trick. I'm going to tell you guys, and you can do what you want to with it, but see the spring on the front? That's actually, as it gets hotter, it will expand, and that's what engages your clutch fan. What guys used to do in the old days, you can pop this spring off and it'll stay engaged all the time. So I don't know that you would be able to pop it off without taking it off, but that's one thing you could do if you wanted to save a little bit of money. Pop that spring out and that fan clutch will stay engaged all the time. So there's that. Now we're gonna thread this back in here and screw this back on the end of the water pump, which is sometimes easier said than done. There it goes. Alright, now once the fan's turning and the nut is not turning anymore, time to get the tools back out. So I've taken the pins out from here, and I think I'm going to use this portion of the tool itself. Now I put the bolts back in, but as you can see right here, I haven't put them all the way back in, so it's going to give this tool something to grab onto, and hopefully I can hold it that way and get that clutch tightened down on the water pump. There we go. Alright, I think that's got it. Now we can tighten these bolts back up. All right, y'all, everything's back together. Everything seems to be good to go. When I started it up and cut it right back off, that's a good indicator when your fan clutch is going bad or is already bad. If you crank your cold Jeep up, hasn't been run in several hours or overnight or whatever, crank it up, let it run for a couple seconds and shut it back off, that fan clutch should stop. Your fan should stop when that crank stops turning. If it keeps spinning, your fan clutch is going bad. And that's what was happening with ours. We weren't having any overheating issues, but with the new water pump, new radiator, and all that stuff, it was able to keep up with the weak clutch. So we went ahead and replaced it. Our cooling system is good to go. Don't expect to have any more issues with it anytime soon. I'm also going to have links to the parts and tools that I used in this video down below in the description. Check that out. Hope you guys like this video. Y'all remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Till the next time, keep the shiny side up. Jeep on.